it's a film about an orbital space station that has the rich living on it, and Earth is diseased and has been left behind, with the money and the resources having left. And Matt is from Earth and Jodie's from the space station.
My character is trying to get to the space station because he's dying and he wants to get there because they have these, health care. They have these med bays and you just lie in and you get kind of completely healed. So he's like on this desperate kind of...
So is he sort of selfish?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, in a way.
Okay.
In terms of being treated equally, I have, teams of people that do that for me.
I play a political figure who is very interested in keeping the habitat pure and trying to safeguard it from those pesky earthworms.
I play a guy called Kruger who, actually when I read the script I said to Neil, if I could be in this movie, this is the guy that I would want to do. He's a special forces kind of black ops guy that hides out on Earth and essentially works for Jodie's organization. And when Jodie and the other politicians can't solve problems by peaceful negotiation and chat, then they call my guy on Earth, and he deals with the problems. So it was something very different for me, and something that the last time I'd seen a really entertaining villain that I liked was Heath Ledger's Joker, and so I felt with this character that there was the opportunity to do something that wasn't, didn't take itself too seriously. It's still very dark and very intimidating, but hopefully has a certain level of charisma and entertainment value to sort of present something that audiences really have never seen. I played him, thanks to Neil. Neil sort of let me, do my improv thing as I do every now and then, and it really gave me a chance to do something different.
The film definitely has elements of the haves and the have-nots and the discrepancy in wealth that seems to be a widening gap. But it hopefully is a film where that sort of is woven into the tapestry of the story in a way that feels like an organic science fiction thrill ride. So the themes are sort of touched upon in a hopefully in a fairly realistic, not over the top way.
I think it first and foremost will be really entertaining and really work on that level. But yeah, it certainly I think has a lot of relevance. Funnily enough, the kind of the whole terminology of the 99% and the 1% wasn't even there when we started. I just remember Neil, the first time I met him, said, "Look, I grew up in South Africa and I emigrated to Canada when I was 18, and to go from the third world to the first world, at that age, absolutely, changed the way that I look at the world." And so, but this is the sci-fi world and the gore, all that stuff that's like the kind of stuff that he loves, and so what he's thinking about gets expressed that way.
It's a tough trick to be able to create an intelligent movie that has socio-political commentary and also have it be primitive and emotional and moving and blow things up at the same time. And that's something that Neil does. I think this film is very different than District 9 and addresses some of those issues from a very different way, but I think they share that mixture of sensibilities.
No, I don't even think this would be necessarily, if you asked Neil what his vision of what the world would really look like in 140 years, if he would say that it would look like this. This is just kind of dystopian fantasy, I'd say, or it's kind of a thought exercise. I think that he went on where he just kind of looked at, okay, well, where he came from, where he grew up, and where he lives now, and what's going on now in terms of disparate wealth, like the increasing gap, and okay, well, what if that kept happening for another 140 years? What would that look like? But I mean, you could ask him.
It's more using the imagery as an extrapolation of what the idea is, which is what Matt's saying. So does Elysium feel entirely realistic, the film, as in the year 2154? Probably not entirely realistic. It has elements that may be semi-realistic, but most of it comes from how do you turn the theme into visuals, into an idea. So it's somewhat a play on, not a perfectly exact representation of the future in my particular book.
And Earth, as represented, is sort of behind technologically.
Yeah, which may not be exactly correct in the real world. But yeah, it's basically quite, it's more devoid of technology than it would be in 2154, even if the money was pulled out.